We had 4 drops, and of those 4 drops, 2 were key third down drops. We had momentum, and we were moving the ball down the field, and to have 2 drops on third down was tough. Our focus for game 1 was executing our base offense and running the football. We were very basic by design for a few reasons. One of those being week 1 and a lot of unknowns, and 2 was some of the scheme and the way that they aligned. There was some uncertainty and some of the things and how they could play us on the back end of things. So by design, we were vanilla, and especially knowing going into a conference opener this next week. Tough road game for them. They got 4 offensive starters, 5 defensive starters back, 2 brand new coordinators, 2 new schemes. Yes, they made mistakes just like we did, but I know this. They scored their points in the second half. They were figuring it out in the second half. They'll be much improved from week 1 to week 2, just like we will be. But we've got a big challenge ahead for us, and we just got to focus on ourselves and getting better. Rakeem is stronger, and he's more physical than he's been. I thought that as the game went on, he got more comfortable and seeing it. Again, a guy that did not go through spring ball, went through fall camp, and I just think the more reps, the more opportunities he gets, as you saw, the better he's going to get. And so I know he wishes that this game a year ago, when he didn't get to finish it, was something that he's kind of said that was disappointing to him that he didn't get to go back in. So he'll be ready to go, as all our guys will be. Ole Miss defense, Coach, Mike McIntyre is known Mike for quite some time. I consider him a really good football coach. Watching them play and studying the film, those guys played exceptionally hard. They're very sound, and they played physical. And so these guys were much improved from where we saw them a year ago.
Kirby Smart announcing today that wide receiver Kearis Jackson has broken bones in his hand. He could miss 3 to 4 weeks. That would put him out for the Notre Dame game on the 21st. Arkansas defensive end Dorian Gerald, he is going to miss the season with a strained artery in his neck. Gerald was in the hospital as of this morning getting blood thinners. So some tough news there from Arkansas. And Mississippi State, this is big news down in Starkville. Backup quarterback Keaton Thompson will return to the team. Joe Moorhead announcing that today. Thompson entered the transfer portal after losing the starting job to Tommy Stevens a few weeks ago, but he met with Moorhead and has decided that his best option is to return to the team.
Just like every year, I think you make your biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2, and especially with a young team like we got, that'll be very important. I think defensively, there's a lot of stuff to build on. There's obviously things that we can get corrected. Offensively, obviously not what we expected. I think we got the right pieces in place. We got some young guys, and we're going to get them better. And we'll coach them better. I think, obviously, there were some mistakes made, but we can put them in a little bit better position, too. I think we need to play a few more guys. Nick Broker, in particular, he'll see some playing time this week. But, I just think we can get better on that side of the ball in a hurry. Looking forward to coming home. That'll be huge for us to get back home. SEC opener, Arkansas, good football team. Got a lot of respect for Coach Morris. Does a really good job offensively. Coach Chavis, longtime defensive coordinator. They got all veteran front with seniors. Their linebacker Harris has been there forever. 2 really, really good running backs. It'll be a challenge for our defense to get a stop. But very excited to be back home at Vaught-Hemingway and looking forward to the challenge. We need to get better. I think it doesn't all fall on the offensive line. There's things you got to be on time, and it all works together. There's some things that we can do better, and I think playing more guys is one of those things. Well, it's huge. I think it's important because it's at home. It's in the SEC. It's a big game for us. So I think continue to build defensively. Let's go work hard and get some of these young guys playing better offensively. I think schematically put them in some better spots, have them a chance to be successful. Some things to get the ball out quickly for Matt. I think we can make a big jump there. But it's obviously a huge game for us. I thought we knew what to do. Very rarely was anybody running free. They had their eyes in the right place. They were gap sound. We made them, it wasn't any just huge plays. They had a couple of maybe naked throwbacks where they hit a big play, but there wasn't just people running free. So I was very, very pleased to see that. For the most part, we tackled well. There was a couple where we didn't wrap up, but I thought we tackled pretty well. We protected our edges. I thought Kadir and Sam did a good job coming off the edge. Luke Knox kind of showed up, and what really showed up to me was our DBs playing the deep balls, knocking balls away, not running with their back to the ball, but actually making plays on some deep balls. So that was good to see as well. You know what? I think Hicks is I think fits their system. That's why they got him to transfer in there, and I think he's got a good understanding. Starkel's a big, strong kid with a really, really good arm. So I think you do have to be prepared for both. You saw Starkel a little bit at the end of the first half last week, but Hicks, the rest of the time. So I think you prepare for Hicks, but I think you got to be aware of Starkel because I think he's a big physical guy that can run, but he's got a good arm too.
In prime time Saturday on the SEC Network, you get a conference game. Arkansas heads to Oxford for what is Ole Miss's home opener. The Hogs won Saturday, beating Portland State at home. The Rebels coming off a 15-10 loss on the road at Memphis. If history holds, this game should be a tight one at Vaught Hemingway. In fact, their last 4 meetings have been close, including a pair of one-point games and an overtime game. By the way, Ole Miss's last win before their current 6-game losing streak dating back to last season did come in last year's meeting with Arkansas. Yeah, you look at these teams, Deej, ugly might be the word that comes to mind when I think of watching Arkansas's offense the other day, right?
Yep.
What did you see from them that gives you some element of positivity that, they can get this thing rolling a little bit?
The number one positive was Rakeem Boyd. Mm-hmm. He was the factor that you probably take into account that if he's running good and he has a good game, then you have a good chance of throwing the football around. Ben Hicks got the start, played at SMU under Chad Morris, you know that. But I never saw his impact in that ball game. I haven't seen it yet. Offensive line up front, they weren't physical enough. They didn't push around Portland State, which is an issue. Yeah. Now they get into SEC play, see if they ramp it up. But if Rakeem Boyd can get going, if they have him establish a part of what they want to do offensively, Ben Hicks can start opening it up. I want to see more stretch runs. I want to see more bootleg. I want to see him more on the
Ben Hicks edge. Or Nick Starkel?
Ben Hicks. Nick Starkel came in for a couple series, and that's why Ben Hicks finished the game.
Threw a pretty bad pick. Yeah. Threw a bad pick in the red zone.
But here's one thing to remember. There's a lot of young guys on the outside for Arkansas. Ben Hicks was chosen simply because, he's talented, but he can get all those guys lined up. They got a couple young receivers in Treylon Burks and Trey Knox who are really good. Mm-hmm. They're freshmen. They're big, 6'3", 6'5".
Hand it off to Boyd. Don't make mistakes throwing the football.
Right.
Easy.
I use the word ugly for Arkansas's offense.
So what are you gonna use now?
Uglier. Just ugly. You've got the call of this thing. I mean, you tell me when you look at Ole Miss offensively, like what can they do to make a smooth transition and show improvement week 1 to week 2?
I mean, it's amazing because sitting here week 1, we're all thinking, boy, we got to keep an eye on this Ole Miss defense, right? I mean, that was the big problem last year.
It looked really good.
Rich Rod in this offense was terrible.
The defense was good.
Absolutely. Yeah. They ran for 80 yards. 80 yards against a team that they should push around.
How many in the first half?
I don't even know. It was terrible. But here's what I'm looking at. I think Rich Rod's going to watch this film, and he's going to say, I tried to do too much. So Rich Rod wants to run the football. He's not spread wide, throw it, air raid all over the place. And they tried to do too much misdirection, too many jet sweeps in the background, in the backfield. Matt Corral didn't look like he knew where to look in the zone read or passing the football. I think they just got to simplify things. Go fast and simplify things. I think he tried to do too much, but boy, they need to do something early in that game to get confidence back, because right now, I bet they're a little shell-shocked.
Arkansas defense last week had 6 sacks, a couple interceptions.
They came after it, They're
going to get after it.
They both, They two defenses that are feeling really good against offenses that are.
This might be a shootout or one of the sloppiest games we've seen in a really long time. I don't know which one it's going to be.
Surprise me.
Must-see TV, by the way. 7:30 Eastern time. You and Hart and Kubelik and all those guys.
Now, friends, I learned a lot about the English language from my high school English teacher, Tommy Ward. And one of the things she taught me was that the word hype was a derivative from the word hyperbole, which means to exaggerate the reality of situations. Well, let me tell you this. Right now, it is not hyperbole and it is not hype to say that for Ole Miss and Arkansas, Saturday's game in Oxford, Mississippi is a must-win for both. And here's why. A year ago, Ole Miss went 1-7 in the Southeastern Conference. The one win was against Arkansas. Arkansas went 0-8 in the SEC. And so they have got to get a win to break that streak. Now, if history tells us anything, it tells us that this game is going to be close. Look at those last 4 meetings right there. Last year it was 4, then 1, then 4, and then 53-52. So we know one thing, it's probably going to be close. Now, what has to happen in this game? Well, let's start with Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got to get some production offensively. They scored only 10 points last week against Memphis, and that ain't going to cut it. Rich Rodriguez was brought in to fix that offense, and they have got to improve. And about Arkansas, well, they think they got their quarterback rooms figured out, but Ben Hicks is the guy who ran that offensive system, and they have got to be better because that offense absolutely struggled against Portland State. So when it comes right down to it, the loser of this game, they've both said that they want to go to a bowl game. That's their #1 goal. But I'll tell you right now, the loser of this game, I don't believe they're going to a bowl. So after all is said and done, who's going to win? Right now, I like the Ole Miss Rebels because they got their backs to the wall if they want to win a game. And I think Ole Miss at home is going to be too much for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
You are in Oxford, Mississippi, and Tom, I hate to do this. I hate to say in the second week of the season, I hate to say this is a must-win for these teams. But you know what, Tom? This is a must-win for these two teams.
I agree with you 100%. Listen, somebody has to finish last in the division, right? So if you're one of these two teams, you're trying to stay out of the basement. But more importantly, I think, than the standings or worrying about where you're going to end up at the end of the year from a one-loss record, you're trying to build momentum within your program. And you're trying to do that, yes, with a win, but also giving young teams, both of them very young, confidence to go out there and know that they can compete in the SEC. Of course, we spent all day meeting with the Ole Miss coaches. We talked with the Arkansas coaches yesterday, and neither team played well enough. Although Arkansas won and Ole Miss lost, neither team played well enough last week in their first game at a level that would get them a win here on this field tomorrow night. So they've got to get better. They've got to execute better, especially offensively on both sides. And I guess the biggest surprise for me in that regard was that Arkansas struggled to execute offensively with Ben Hicks running the offense. It's the same offense he ran under Chad Morris at SMU a few years ago. And in 2017, you could say the difference is they had 1,000-yard rushers in the backfield at SMU, and he also had 2 NFL receivers. Right now, the talent just isn't there from talent and experience standpoint when it comes to Arkansas's wide receivers, although the tight ends can match up pretty well with anybody.
Well, let's stick with Arkansas because, yeah, they won, but, Tom, it was Portland State. And I'm thinking you've got to do more with that. And, well, let me ask you this. You mentioned that Ben Hicks, the offense didn't run as smoothly. I understand that. Could we possibly see Nick Starkel in this game?
Would not surprise me at all, and we'll probably, in my opinion, I think we'll see more of Nick Starkel this week than we did last week. They had a plan to get him in last week. It just so happened that it followed a turnover. They had a short field. He made a bad read, threw an interception, and made some clock management mistakes late in that game. But he's a guy that I think is more talented. He's got the bigger arm. Tony, by the way, they moved the stadium closer to the sun. It is smoking hot out here on the turf. Starkel's probably more talented, but they love the fact that Hicks ran this offense. He knows it in and out. And with so many young guys, especially on the perimeter, they thought he could get them in the right place at the right time. But honestly, both of these teams had communication issues from the quarterback position to the line and the receivers last week. That's got to get fixed.
Well, and along those lines, let's go to Ole Miss. Obviously, I went to see Rich Rodriguez and Mike McIntyre in the spring, and they felt pretty decent about things. But, Matt Corral and the people they've got, Scotty Phillips and all that, I certainly expect them to score more than 10 points against Memphis.
Right, and there are a couple issues for both of these offenses. They didn't have a ton of possessions last week. It's not an excuse, but the reality is if you don't have a lot of possessions and you don't elongate your possessions by picking up first downs, then you can't get into a rhythm. And Rich Rodriguez runs a rhythm offense. They want to go at tempo, but you can't go at tempo when you're facing 2nd and 8 and when you're going 3 and out. And so I think that's the biggest challenge for both of these offenses. How do you institute new wrinkles into your offense, but still at the same time try to be simple and go fast, because Chad Morris wants to do the same thing. They both want to be at tempo. They both want to keep it simple. They both want to be able to push the ball downfield. I would say that Ole Miss would show more quarterback run in that regard. I mean, Matt Corral's still new to this too. I mean, this is not what they ran last year. And it was funny talking to him today. He said, yeah, I learned a lot about Rich Rodriguez when we went to Hoover for media days. He goes, I guess he invented the spread. I mean, it's funny the things that you and I take for granted, right, that we know about being around this game for so long, whether it was his time at Tulane or West Virginia or Clemson and all the great quarterbacks he worked with, that, Matt Corral's, 20, 21 years old. He's like, yeah, this is new to me.
He probably doesn't know who Pat White is. So.
Or Steve Slayton, or Sean King, or Woodrow Dantzler.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Tom, is you don't want to make a too bold a prediction at this point, but it's hard. Both of these teams have made it very clear. Their number one goal is to get to a bowl game, to get to 6 and get to a bowl game. But I got to be honest with you, brother. The loser of this game, I don't see 6. I just don't see it.
Well, it'd be really hard, because then you look, obviously you have to sweep your non-conference, and Ole Miss can't do that now. And it always, to me, what shakes out when it comes to scheduling is it's a waste of time when everybody filled Sports Talk Radio over the course of the summer to throw up a schedule and say, okay, W, W, L, L, W. You don't know what those teams are going to be at the beginning of the season, and identities of teams change during the course of the season. So let's use Missouri as an example. We don't know if that bowl ban is going to be appealed. We don't know for sure that Barry Odom's going to be able to turn things around after the loss last week at Wyoming. I mean, all indications are they're still going to be a very, very good team. But if for some reason things go south with Mizzou, then all of a sudden that's a winnable game for Arkansas to close the season with the game in Little Rock on Thanksgiving weekend. Maybe that's more winnable. But you hate to rely on stuff like that. I mean, 6 wins is an invaluable number for both of these programs to get it. And to me, it's not just those extra practices we always talk about. It's also program momentum. I mean, these are programs that are trying to sell tickets. They're trying to get excitement around their program with coaches that are relatively new in their era. To do that, you got to win. I mean, to convince people to come to your campus every weekend and fill up your stadium, you got to win games. And this place is going to be packed tomorrow. I mean, Oxford is already crawling crazy, and people are going nuts, and it's going to be an outstanding atmosphere. But going forward after that, fans are really fickle these days with those widescreen TVs, and you get to sit at home and listen to Cole Kubelik and Jordan Rodgers. It's harder to sell tickets and fill stadiums.
Bottom line, Tom, what does each team have to do to win the game? What's the key? What does Ole Miss have to do? What does Arkansas have to do to win this game?
Arkansas has to run the ball, and they have to get great play from their tight ends. We'll see C.J. O'Grady certainly should be available for Arkansas. He didn't play last week against Portland State. And talking with Ben Hicks earlier this week, I asked him the biggest difference between his team and those SMU teams. He said the talent at tight end is what would separate the two. So they've got to be able to utilize the tight ends, and they can't afford drops. Ole Miss needs to find a way to get the ball into the hands of the playmakers, and they've got a ton of them. They've got guys in the slot. They got guys in the backfield. They've got young wide receivers. The problem is they didn't get the ball into those guys' hands in space where they're able to take advantage of what that offense can be.
Now, we do have a conference game tomorrow, Arkansas and Ole Miss, and I hate to say, Tom Hart is calling the game for us, and I told Tom, I hate to say that the second week is a must-win, but you look at these two teams, and they both want to get to a bowl.
Yeah,
it's a must-win.
There's no doubt. There's a lot of pressure on both of these teams, both of these head coaches. Neither of their team looked good at all last week. Very poor performances. I mean, Arkansas needs to win that game by a lot more than they did, and I don't think it was just a loss against Memphis for Ole Miss. It was the way they lost.
Right, exactly.
It was the lack of excitement, the lack of playmaking ability on offense, the lack of looking at guys and saying, that's SEC caliber. Right? That didn't look like an SEC team. And even in the average Ole Miss teams in the past, you would still look and say, that's 5 NFL players.
Right.
That's 7 NFL players. They always had NFL players. Right now, where are those NFL players?
Well, and here's the thing that I wonder about. Matt Corral, new quarterback. Rich Rodriguez comes in. We know what Rich Rodriguez likes to do.
Yeah.
In his system, the quarterback has to run the ball. I don't know if Matt Corral can do what Rich Rodriguez wants him to do.
Well, I think they're going to have balance. You can't just have one or the other. And the SEC, when you get into conference play, it is so physical that you're going to be able to have to back them up throwing the football. And I didn't see that. I didn't see the ability to back a Memphis defense up. They were at the line of scrimmage. They were physical. They were bringing the wood to Ole Miss. And you can't just, run your head into a brick wall. You got to be able to back them up with playmakers over the top. And they've had that in the past. They've had that with Laquan and all these other DK Metcalf and all these guys. Where are they now?
You travel up to Magnolia State, you'll find Ole Miss and Arkansas. Conference game primetime, SEC Network. Let's go back historically. My goodness, who could forget the Brandon Allen to Hunter Henry, who lateraled, fumbled the ball to Alex Collins for a Razorback first down, and 2 plays later, Arkansas scores, goes for 2, and gets it to win. Next year, 2016, Jared Cornelius had just 2 carries in the game, but one of them was a 6-yard touchdown with 2:20 left for the final score, and the Razorbacks 34-30 win. 2017, Ole Miss opens up a 31-7 lead midway through the second, but it was all Arkansas after that. Connor Limpert kicked a 34-yarder with 4 seconds left. Hogs win it by 1, and last year, Ole Miss scores 2 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes, including a 5-yard touchdown run from Scotty Phillips less than a minute to go for the Rebs to get a 4-point win. Primetime Saturday on the SEC Network, a conference game in Oxford. Ole Miss hosting Arkansas. Tom Hart on the call. You've got Jordan Rogers and Cole Kubelik giving us all of the color, and those two join us right now. Guys, both of these teams defensively looked vastly improved in their games last week, and offensively they struggled. How do they generate an offense Saturday night?
Well, to me, I think it starts with tempo. I think both these teams want to be successful with tempo. And if you look at Arkansas' side of the ball, Ben Hicks, there's some drops outside, but he's the guy that can get them lined up. He's the guy that can do the checks. He's the guy that can operate with tempo. I still think we're going to see a lot of Nick Starkel, but how does Starkel handle the tempo? Can he handle all the checks, the protections that he needs to for them to be successful on offense? I think long-term, he's the answer, but both these guys have a lot to do to get better for that offense. And with Matt Corral, to me, it's first down. You got to get going in the right direction. That's one thing Rich Rodriguez mentioned. He said, we were terrible on first and second down. We couldn't get a first down to get a drive started, and that's when tempo occurs. So to me, it's short passes on first and second down. Get the ball out of Matt Corral's hands. Get it to your playmakers on the outside like Elijah Moore, and get the sticks moving in the right direction so you can actually use that tempo that your offense is predicated on.
It is interesting, Dari, the similarities of what these two teams need to do. I agree with Jordan. The other thing is they both have playmakers at tailback.
Yeah.
Turn and hand the football off. Get your offensive line going a little bit more. Scotty Phillips needs more touches. He needs to find more space in the Ole Miss offense. And Rakeem Boyd's probably the best football player on Arkansas's team. Find a way to get him going as well. That'll ease up some of that pain that Jordan mentioned on first down and lead to better situations on second and third down.
Arkansas, Ole Miss. We got a conference game.
I'm going Ole Miss 12, Arkansas 10.
Oh, my goodness.
Who'd have thought that the story of week 1 for these two teams was going to be defense, but that's what it was. And I'm going to choose to be a glass half full guy and say that 12-10 score is reflective of good defense and not awful offense like we saw from those two last week.
There you go. I'm going Arkansas, 21-17. I think Ben Hicks, in his second week, is more efficient in the offense. You saw Rakeem Boyd. We saw, glimpses of him being what we think he can be. He rushed for almost 120 yards last week. They got to get the run game going. But you know what I was impressed with? Arkansas's defense. 6 sacks, 3 picks, a lot of negative plays. Going with Arkansas.
After starting 3 different quarterbacks last season, there's another QB competition in Arkansas this season. SMU transfer Ben Hicks started in week 1, but completed under half his passes. Texas A&M transfer Nick Starkel went 4 for 5 off the bench, but the one incomplete pass was a pick. The SEC Primetime crew will break down tonight's game. Take it away, Tom.
And welcome to Oxford, Mississippi. Tonight on SEC Saturday Night, it's Ole Miss and Arkansas. And today, we're going to tell you about something that you probably have never thought of before. The cadence.
In order to be successful on offense, you got to get the play started, and that starts with the communication with the center, the offensive lineman, and all other 10 on the field. Now, whether it's gun or under center, or whether it's a set hut or a clap, it's all about the rhythm. When you have 2 quarterbacks like Arkansas does, that rhythm can sometimes mess up the entire communication of the play. Green 18! Green 18 to that! That would be a loud, natural, rhythmic cadence. Now, another quarterback comes in, he might not have that same rhythm.
Green 18! Green 18! Sit!
Guys, see the rhythm there, the pause, the length of time, what does that do to an offensive lineman?
We have to work together as a unit. We need to be in sync. That means all coming off the ball at the same time.
Now, one thing Ole Miss struggled with on the other side of the football, on the offensive side as well, was communication about audibles. And that really comes down to being in the shotgun and making sure this side of the offensive line knows what we're doing and that side. A lot of times they were on different pages, and that led to Matt Corral under a lot of pressure. Now, I want to change this play. Brown 7. Brown 7. He might not have heard it. I got to get up here. Brown 7. Brown 7. Make sure everybody hears that play. Said, now we're moving in the right direction, and everybody's on the same page.
Here's the bottom line for these two offenses. They want to move fast and stay simple. You can't finish strong if you don't start right. Arkansas and Ole Miss on SEC Saturday night.
Jarian Ealy, the multi-talented star, set to receive for Ole Miss. He won't have a chance. And the Rebels will bring out Matt Corral. Once again, can Ole Miss capitalize and find rhythm with a first down? And it doesn't look like it, because Scotty Phillips gets tossed for a loss of 2. Melvin Agim, who's now playing on the inside. Phillips, left side, able to find nothing. Agim is there again. Let's take it down to the goal line. Pylon cam will show you clean catch and an early lead for Ole Miss. Ben Hicks directs Cheyenne O'Grady. Gonna go right back to Boyd. Boyd able to slither through the first would-be tackler. And they got Submarine at the end after a gain of 10. Every snap as a quarterback so far tonight, with the exception of the Wild Hog. And upended is Rakeem Boyd. Quick to the outside, that's complete. Diving forward, Devwa Whaley, if he kept his feet, may have been gone.
Arkansas showing pressure here. They're going to keep it on.
Pressure, Corral eludes it. On the run, and he finally gets shoved out of bounds. Never pulled the trigger, and Gabe Richardson.
He doesn't see it till the last minute. You got to see that coming sooner so you can have a quick answer and not take a sack.
Easier said than done. Did you see pressure in the Grove today? A little bit different in the Grove with a bunch of 8- and 9-year-olds.
I just down to rib. My hands were a little slippery. I need a towel out there.
Burks takes it at the 15. Gets bottled up, and he's trying to pop it outside. He's got room to run now. Treylon Burks, stutter step to the 30. That was a long run, and it turns into a 15-yard return. Arkansas sticks with Ben Hicks, and Hicks swings it out to Devion Warren. Warren picks up a first down. If you're anxious, we got a late flag after the tackle out of bounds. It leaves 2nd and 18. Hicks, flush from the pocket again. On the run, wide open, Arkansas first down, Mike Woods. And Woods takes it to the 20, a gain of 31 to attempt a 37-yard field goal. And the lefty with a knuckleball with a doink that goes through. Here's 1st and goal. Corral hands it off, and Scotty Phillips into the pile. 4-man rush, they get to him at 4. Hicks Houdini's his way out of it, and then it's completed. A first down for Arkansas to Trey Knox, and he's finally forced out of bounds with 1:42 to go.
See, Williams blows it up here and somehow squeezes through that. That's a veteran quarterback there, Tom. I'm a guy that doesn't panic under pressure, keeps his eyes downfield, and I don't care what it looked like. Gave his guy a chance.
This game when these two get together tonight is no exception. As we head into the second half, it's just a touchdown lead for Ole Miss. Chad Morris's offense hadn't hit its stride yet, but don't blame the quarterback. They've only run for 38 yards in the first half. Matt Corral was exciting in the first half. The redshirt freshman quarterback will keep it and make it back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Just shy. Phillips got knocked at the line of scrimmage by Melvin Agim. Little option look. Fake. He lost the football into the hands of the Razorbacks. Joe Fouché finds it, and Arkansas with the takeaway will stall Ole Miss's momentum.
See the space there. If he just puts his shoulder down, he's only got to get 1 yard. So crucial mistake there, but it should have been a first down.
Strong throw from Nick Starkel out to Mike Woods, and it's a first down for Arkansas. Mike McIntyre's defense hasn't allowed a touchdown yet tonight, but look at this. Arkansas off and running. A hurdle from Boyd. Back-to-back first downs for the Razorbacks. Pressure from the edge. Boyd runs right past it. Bends it to the outside, and Boyd gets dragged down. Yard forward to the perimeter to get to Woods anyway. 2nd and 24 out of the backfield. Whaley. Woods in motion. Starkel completes it. There's a first down and more for Knox. In a foot race inside the 5. He got all the way in the end zone. Touchdown, Arkansas.
An eligible player downfield on the offense.
Killer.
Number 89 was covered up and went downfield on the pass. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Absolute killer for Arkansas.
Get the ball, but he is covered up. He's an ineligible receiver.
And it looked like 16 Burks was the guy who had him covered up.
Yeah. Trying to get the big bucks.
I guess so. 3rd and 16. They'll empty it out again. Starkel on the run. Boom! What a hit! And he stays on his feet. We got a flag coming and a first down for Arkansas. O'Grady. Corral pulls it back from him. Wants to throw on the run. Intermediate route incomplete. Trying to thread the needle and find Tylen Knight. Scotty Phillips carrying the mail for Ole Miss. The senior takes it the final yard after taking it halfway home. On 2nd and 7, straight ahead Boyd. First down Razorbacks.
Safety playing 10 yards off the ball. I'd take a shot.
Starkel completes it for a first down and then a late throwdown, and plenty of flags come in. Corral keeps it. Ooh. He's going to take some hits in this conference if he keeps the ball alive. Corral, late pitch. And that'll net Ole Miss a couple more yards, and the ball came loose. Arkansas with a takeaway. Cameron Curl with the run back, and the Rebels finally, no, Curl still strutting to the 5 and a score. Right through traffic in a 68-yard return. Corral pitched it late. Cooley got stood up, and he got stripped. Cameron Curl, the junior from San Diego by way of Muskogee, Oklahoma, through traffic and into the end zone. Eventually, they go with the end around. Elijah Moore popped behind the line of scrimmage. He'll lose a couple.
McClellion turned his head and started to play the football.
Corral gets dropped at midfield. Time tonight. This hookup's going to look good in the morning. 46 yards later, Elijah Moore finds the end zone, and the Rebels extend their advantage. Ole Miss shows pressure. They bring 4 only. Starkel downfield, caught back shoulder. Beautiful hookup with Cheyenne O'Grady. Scotty Phillips able to take it the rest of the way. His second touchdown of the night. Set on Rocky Top. Tennessee 0-2 for the first time since 1988. BYU goes into Knoxville and knocks them off in overtime. Deep ball, complete, and an Arkansas first down. I'd have to burn some sage. 3.5 to go in this one. Arkansas changed quarterbacks at the half. A&M transfer Nick Starkel is able to find the edge.
And yes, Starkel is a step behind, rightfully so, where Ben Hicks is in running this offense and getting these young players lined up and running with the tempo. But it's going to be, towards the end of the year until we see if there's enough talent on the outside to complement what Rakeem Boyd is and the talent they have in the backfield.
They're able to convert this one to Traylon Burks. Other two quarterbacks last year transferred out. Ty Story now at Western Kentucky. Cole Kelly at Southeastern Louisiana. Completion over the middle. Still running with it is Trey Knox after taking a big lick. Last year when Chad Morris came in, he was trying to placate some upperclassmen while getting experience for the freshmen. It didn't work out for anybody. And now this is a team that they're not going to come out of here with a win, but they're still battling late in this one. And a catch in the back corner of the end zone for a touchdown by Koylan Jackson.
The comeback throw to the right sideline, the deep seam route right there to set up this fade route.
Coach Matt got lucky. Coach Luke did him a favor and got him something way better than what we had last year. Hopefully Coach Luke thinks about the offense for once. It gives us something.
Thanks, Matt. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A big improvement for Corral. Last week against Memphis, just 93 yards to the air. Tonight, 246 in Ole Miss with a 31-17 victory on this SEC Saturday night. Let's get you back to the studio to recap all the action, including Texas and LSU. Dari, Chiz, and Doring. Boys, all yours.
Ole Miss and Arkansas in Oxford. Razorbacks, of course, Jerry Jones, well-known Razorback in attendance there in Oxford. Matt Corral, Ontario Drummond. Drummond keeps the chains moving.
This was a key all day long. It was receivers making yards after the catch for Ole Miss. They had over 150 yards after the completion.
Then Corral to Elijah Moore. First score of the day, 7-zip Rebels. Now 10-3. Corral rolls right, finds his tight end, Octavius Cooley. Boy, what's a big boy keeping the drive alive. First down later on, Scotty Phillips, who had himself another nice day. Scotty Phillips, we got to pay attention to him in this Rich Rodriguez offense.
Yeah, we do, and that's what we said. Last week, they did not get the tailback running game going. Today, they did with Scotty Phillips.
Cooley battling, coughs it up. Cameron Curl for the hop. You tell me how this results in a touchdown.
He was gassed at the end of this. Watch him right here. You talk about a guy making guys miss, or maybe they were just missing.
They were just missing.
Ole Miss's offense can't tackle.
But the news is the defense can this year.
Much better this year,
You
for
better
sure.
believe it is. Mike McIntyre's made a huge difference. There's more for a touchdown for Missouri, for Ole Miss, rather 24-10, and then Scotty Phillips. How about his day? 26 carries, 143 on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Corral, good in his home debut at Ole Miss, gets the win. Arkansas lost 12 straight conference games. That goes back to 2017.